And welcome everybody to Locked on iRacing, another solo edition. It's just me, Wilco, having a chat to you about what's happened. It's a little bit delayed. I was hoping to have this out Monday, Tuesday, but work's been a nightmare again. Work-life balance between creating, working, and being a family person has not been the best yet again. And just a whole heap of things. School holidays makes it hard when your kids always around, so I've got to just eke out a little bit of time for myself to record something. I put a lot of practice in this week too for V8 Vets, so when I'm not in front of the computer doing paperwork, I'm usually in the rig doing a few laps at the Road Atlanta at the moment, which brings us to, it's currently Thursday, it's the eve of round 2. I am sitting here dreading racing tonight because I've put in a lot of effort and I don't want to waste it. We had a really good race last round 1, which I'll talk about in a moment. But just sitting here trying to get the courage to jump back in and do a few laps, because that's my problem. I left it for sort of a 48-hour period before I jumped into the rig before the race last Thursday, and I felt real rusty, and it showed by the time we started and sort of what we'll get to at the end of the race. But it's been a pretty good week, to be honest. We've got some pretty good iRating improvements in the sports car. I've only driven sports car this week. So in week 2 of iRacing, I've done some production car SimLabs challenge, which was at Zolder, which was an interesting one I want to talk about in a sec. We went to the Supercars at Virginia International Raceway in the official series on Tuesday night, and then followed up with the V8 Vets on Thursday, and then on Monday, the last day of week 2, we went for the GT Sprint at Monza, which had one very interesting moment in it. But I'll talk about that later. I can't wait to make a short about it, but yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. Not the best result, but yeah, some good fun racing. Not good fun racing, but there was a good fun moment in there. And just too many mistakes, which is the key to my week 2 at the moment. So we're going to touch on at the end. I've had a few questions on stream about my feelings on the Supra coming to Supercars. So I'll chat about that a little bit, and Supercars in general, to be honest, and we'll go from there. So I hope you're enjoying, but let's get on to week 2. Started with production car SimLabs challenge in the Toyota GR86, and we went to Zolder, which has had a bit of a graphical update, which looks pretty cool. Not a huge difference. There's some fans off in the background, some big energy efficient big turbines to grab some power from the wind. That's the only thing I noticed, and I only noticed it because Shervo was in stream and sort of asked me about the fans in the background, and didn't even notice them until he pointed them out. So, look, we went to Zolder, very little practice, jumped into the practice session beforehand, which was in the wet. You couldn't tell it was in the wet until you went out on the road and slid off into the distance, because there was no rain. It had been raining, obviously, in the half hour beforehand. Track was just starting to dry up, but nice sunny day. The breeze was blowing because the fans were moving, and it was slippery, so put the wets on for there. Did a few laps, didn't really feel confident, but hey, it's a Tuesday, let's have a crack. And we jumped into the server for the race. The 3-minute practice session was dry, just dry, straight up. Did qualifying, couldn't understand why I was 3 seconds off the pace when I felt like I was nailing the track because it was in the dry again. And then just before we jumped into the race, I had a look at the setup quickly, and it said I was on wets. So that would be a carryover from the week before, where we were at actually no, it wasn't. It was Okayama was wet, so we were in a setup that was set up for wets. So we jumped. I quickly just changed the tires. That's all I did, and yeah, off we went. First time on dry tires in the race was when we did the first the parade lap. 5 of us in the 86 in this race. The rain in the practice session seemed to have balked a lot of people. You see the numbers going up and down. Usually there's about 100 starters in this, and there's only about 35, 40. which meant numbers were fairly low, but it was obviously a good chance to grab some points for the series going forward. However, we qualified fourth, I believe it was. 15th on the grid is what it's telling me at the moment when I look at the results here, but that's in the multi-class field. We had some BMWs in there, and I was 5 cars, I'm pretty sure. Just checking it now. Qualified fourth. No. I know. No idea. Qualified 15th on the grid. That's it. So that's all I can go by. But we ended up finishing second. But by the time we'd gone out, got on track, and gone past the start-finish line, I was already back in 5th. And unfortunately, there was a few people that were too keen, didn't understand the green flag rules, and had overtaken me and a couple others before they crossed the start-finish line. Subsequently, they got black flags and had to go in and pit. I was a little bit wondering why people were pitting, and then I went back and had a look at the replay, and that's and the actual race report, and that's what it was. So 2 of them did themselves a little bit of a problem. One of the other cars spun and got some damage, so that's 3 of the cars. I did spin, mucking around with some MX-5s. One of them dove down the inside. You'll see it in a short, and then at the hairpin, then got a run on me. I was then getting, obviously 86 is a bit more power, so I started catching up. They did the really stupid course setup at the end where we didn't do the proper big chicane left-right part before the pits. We did that little dodgy kink part, and the MX-5 decided to brake. I was on its tail. I don't brake going through there. It's a little lift and left-right, and we're good. So I had to slam on the brakes while turning, and unfortunately that just let the car go a little bit in the rear, and that was the end of it for the 86, and I couldn't get it back, so I did a bit of a spin. Didn't take anyone out. Lost, obviously, time on the cars that I was battling with, but put us about 10, 15 seconds back on the field. And we went back and went going again, and got caught up with some more MX-5s then, and there was one Clio Cup car in there. We got caught up with that car. BMWs, which is good to see them in the series now. They seem to catch us pretty quickly on that track, and caused an interesting moment, which you'll see in a short, where the BMWs, myself, the MX-5s, and the Clio Cup all tried to go into the first little stupid chicane at Zolder, and 5 into 1 didn't really work. No one died, but we all got through okay, but I ended up giving away more than anyone else and end up at the back of that pack, and battled on with some MX-5s, which gave us some a bit of fun, and then looked up, and all of a sudden we're in second, crossing the finish line for 59 points in the championship for the official series, which puts me, I think, about 8th or 9th in Div 5 for that. So haven't done this week's race yet. I'm a little bit scared because it's at Navarra, which I have not raced yet, and I didn't want to jump into a track I just didn't know 5 minutes before the race started. So I'm going to do a bit of practice on that. I'm probably going to try and maybe do it on Monday or over the weekend. But that was Zolder, which was definitely interesting. I'll tell you that. It was, like I said, the rain scared a lot of people off, but it wasn't a wet track at all, even though I took wets into qualifying. But we then moved on to Tuesday night, which was a little bit of a special one for me. We went to Virginia International Raceway, which is the first round of vets. So it was my first chance to sit on the vets setup and run it in the official, which is, track temperatures are about double in Virginia in the official one. So it made it a little bit icy, but it was always going to be practice for Thursday, and that's what Tuesdays were there for. So we went into it. Me and Buzz got in the same split. I was car number 6. He was car number 1. We qualified 5th and 6th on the grid, and away we went. It was an interesting one where there was a few fast cars in there, and they were aggressive cars as they generally are. And me and Buzz sort of worked pretty well as a team to avoid the carnage. And it's the first time I've gone through a Supercars race without spinning and making a major mistake. Like, there was definitely some, tail out here and wheel spin there, and 5x through the race. So wasn't too bad, but that'll come up later on. We'll talk about that. But yeah, we battled really well and worked well as a team. And he went short on, like, he stopped early. I stopped right at the end. I've discovered, I knew it before, I like hot lapping. No one around. As soon as there's someone in my rear vision mirror, I'm a shocker. And as soon as there's a car in front of me that's a little bit slower than me, I just can't quite line up the pass and commit to it. But yeah, we did some work with the stream during the week practicing for this, and Chastity found a few bits and pieces where he was watching me and my throttle was only going to about 97, 98%. So we fixed up that with the pedals. The dead zone wasn't set. And we sort of mucked around. I mucked around with a few things and got everything sort of set up on the back end for the rig side of things. And we think that's made some improvements there. And we end up, like I said, went into this race, hot lapped for a long chunk of it, went into the pits, topped up the fuel to the end, came out in fourth. Buzz was in third, got into second. I had fresh rubber, so we were sort of pretty keen to think that I could possibly catch this guy in third. And as we started to get closer with like 2 laps to go, that driver put her off, and I went into third and ended up 8 seconds off second with Buzz, and I think it was about 30 seconds off Samuel Wright, who you'll hear about next week, but I killed in week 3 official. So there's a spoiler for next episode. Look, Sam, if you get this, I apologise over the server so many times, or twice anyway. I'm sorry if you do catch this for whatever reason. I just completely missed my braking marker, being in the wrong part of the track at the wrong time, and I couldn't pull it up. And yeah, so sorry. But yeah, second and third in the V8 Supercars series. That's my second podium in the official series now, so pretty happy with that. But that was definitely my best one. The one last time I had a solid mistake, which just the one spin, but wasn't really in contention for anything else. But this time this was a battle and drove really well, I think. And yeah, it was good fun to sit there with Buzz and get the third and second in for the Locked On lads in the second split official. So that was good fun. But then we move on to V8 Vets came on Thursday, and I was really nervous going into that. I knew I had speed. I just didn't know how much speed I had, and I didn't want to waste that speed and just stuff up early on. That's what I was most concerned about, is making those mistakes and just doing something stupid. Big fields again, first time I'm doing a league in a while, especially a league with almost 40 starters. In a supercar, it's always scary that you're going to, for me anyway, my brain says I'm worried about crashing into someone else and ruining their race. And qualified in that about 14th out of 34, I think, turned up on the night. So it wasn't the best quali, but we started, didn't start very well either. Spun the wheels and lost traction and got bogged down a bit and had a few people overtake us. I think we dropped back to 17th or 18th as the bustle happened, but it was a pretty clean start for Vets, which is really good. So we just knuckled down then and sort of found my groove and just pushed on, which was good fun. And it wasn't lapping the best. Got stuck behind some cars that I was faster than. But as I said before, I'm just not confident enough to make the passes at the moment yet. So could never quite get those passes made at Virginia, and it is a hard place to pass at in most places except for turn 1 and the oak tree. But never could get those overtakes done, and sort of just waited for them to make mistakes. Or the weird one was pit. I knew how much fuel we had after racing it on Tuesday night, sorry. We had a little bit less fuel in Vets, but I knew how far we'd get. And people started pitting like lap 8 or 9, and I was confused as hell. But yeah, that's what happened. Knowing there's a safety car potentially in this series, it was mind-blowing that people were actually pitting early and not waiting for the safety car at the very last minute to jump in and get it. So sort of those cars went off, made a few mistakes. I definitely made way more mistakes in this race than Thursday night. I think it was, the Tuesday night. I think it was this combination of the 2 days rest, the 48 hours rest period. Didn't touch the rig on Wednesday, didn't touch it Thursday morning until the night of the race. So didn't feel like I was ready to go. Different track conditions as well. I wasn't prepared for that, but just didn't quite feel right in the car. And it's one of those things. On Tuesday night, I did not feel right in the car. In fact, one of the people watching was like, have you done this before? Kind of thing in chat in the practice session, because I just couldn't keep this car on the track. And then we nailed the race, and it seems to be what's happening. I could not get this thing right in practice. But yeah, we battled around. We went the longest on fuel, and that was surprising because I had a full lap and I still had some left in the tank. I could have done another half a lap by the time we pitted, and tyres felt really good at the end of the first stint. And we got a bonus point for leading a lap, so that was really cool. And got on the coverage a little bit for leading that lap. And then we came in, and I overfueled, so I had enough fuel then. I didn't realise I thought it was only an 80 litre tank that they limited it to completely, but we went to the full 111 litres or whatever it was in there, and I didn't realise that. We had fuel to the end of the race, but we still had to do a compulsory pit stop, which was, it's a waste because we had to come in, spend 5 or 6 seconds on the jacks to do the tyres. So that's a waste. I could have been adding fuel and saving time, but neither here nor there. Learning experience. So we did that, and then we're out for about 2 laps and 3 laps, and then someone's car got broke, and we had a safety car. So at that stage, I took the opportunity, armed and art about it in my head and on stream, but it was the right opportunity. They called it on the back when we're on the back straight, so we're one of the first ones to get into the pit lane. What I didn't realise, I'll get to in a sec, but we jumped in, put the tyres on, and got out straight away. Jumped the car that was in front of us that did the same thing, but I came out just in front of the leaders of the race, almost went a lap down. Now, I would have got it back as a safety car, wave for rounds. We would have done that. That's fine. But it was a moment I didn't even think about, that maybe this might put me a lap down. But we did it. We got out. We were with, I think, 5th or 6th of the people that did that strategy, but we're down in 18th or 15th or something like that. And we did a few laps, got everything ready, missed the start, but fresh tyres, made a couple of mistakes on that first lap back, and dropped even further down the field till about 19th or 20th or something ridiculous like that. So wasn't feeling the best, settled in to a rhythm, and then just started lapping with a few little incidents where I was stuck behind cars, but we had one major accident where car we were battling with was 3 laps down, and we couldn't quite get past them, even though we'd put the nose in front. They kept on battling back to sort of get in front of the car again, even though it's blue flag rules. But hey, I've been educated about that on socials this week when I put a post up about it. Apparently some people think they can race still, so that's fine, whatever. I didn't call it out, but in the end they battled with the car in front of me, and they tipped them in the rear and spun them around in front of me, which then, look, in hindsight, I slammed on the brakes. When you slam on the brakes with this V8 Supercar, you go straight no matter what you do. I probably should have tried to lift and turn and avoid the accident, but I end up got Carl Pickering right in the side of the car with the nose. No major damage to my car, no major damage to his car, but 4 or 5 cars got around as that happened, and that was sort of the down point of the race. But we had 250k race, so we had plenty of time left, and got in there and went on, and the people who didn't take that opportunity to get the second stop then had to do green flag stops, which helped us out, got us right back up there. And we did some good laps at the end. We looked after I looked after my tyres and got to the end of the race with about 3 or 4 to go, and we caught a few guys. We were in 11th. We were holding off a few of the people behind us, and we're in a really good spot. And then I think someone David maybe got stuck at the top of the hill there and couldn't move. It was there for about 3 laps before we did the safety car, but by the time we got the safety car, it was 2 laps to go. So we had 1 lap under safety car and then a sprint, which I was fretting about. And the side note is I got 5X on Tuesday. At this point, I'm going into the league. I'm not really understanding a lot of the rules. There's a 17X rule, which is fine. I was not sure whether it was a 17X rule or it was just iracing was putting it on the background. I was at 16X by the time we did the restart with 1 lap to go. And they were all the 1.4X for hitting Carl. Other than that, they were all little off tracks just here and there. Just as you do in Virginia, you dip a toe off, you get a 1X, and it doesn't really hurt you too much. Did a lot of them, way too many of them. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have pushed as hard in a few points, and that's it. But we restarted chaos on the first corner, as you'd expect. We got up to 8th, and we got to 9th, sorry. And then there's a car in the queue because they didn't get to do wave around, so there was a slow car in the queue, and it pulled over, and we got to the S's, and I got stuck outside having to go around this car on the inside that was going slow, and there was just no way around it, and I just couldn't quite get the car turned enough, and got the right-hander in the S's, but then the left-hander I just dipped off onto the dirt, which gave me the 17th X, and we got a black flag. So with half a lap to go in a 250k race. So race was over at that stage. We were up to 9th, like I said. Coming down the hill through the roller coaster, and one of the cars in front of us went off. So the car in front of us ended up 7th, which we would have got 8th. But I had to pull into the pit. And then in a moment of frustration, I did a stop and go instead of a drive-through, which didn't even clear the flag anyway. So rolled across the line and got the extra penalty, which sent me to the back of the lead lap, which was 20th, I think it was, or 21st. 21st, sorry. And that was Vets, a really good experience where I would have got a top 10, considering how careful I was and how many mistakes I made. A top 10 was going to be really good. Like I felt like we could have got top 5 with the right sort of things happen, and me sort of not pushing as hard not pushing as hard, not making as many stupid mistakes. But even if we had done the drive-through instead of the stop and go, I think we still could have got sort of pretty good result. But yeah, it was a calamity of errors at the end there. But definitely was a good experience, and I'm more excited about this week. So spoilers for what's to come. Tonight is round 2. We just came off week 3 Vets at Road Atlanta, and even though I didn't do right by Sam, unfortunately, we did come back in that race, which I'll talk about a bit more, but beat a few cars that are in the split tonight that are above me on the championship. So we are sitting 20th in the championship. That bonus point helped us jump 1 spot, and over a few other penalties, we're sort of really right in the guts of the field, which is a good spot to be for. Yeah, you'd prefer to be top 10 going into round 2, but hey, it's a 10 race season. I definitely won't be there for one of the rounds, and there's 2 drop rounds, so this could end up being a drop round, but it could count, which is still not a bad result, 20th overall. But we'll see how we go tonight. Pretty keen for that. But we rounded off week 2 in officials with a GT sprint, which is something we've picked up this season. Now Tim Corn has decided to come back and want to do some racing with us again. So him and Buzzer were booked in for Monday night GT sprints, giving the Ford Mustang a crack because I own it and we have a livery now. So that was pretty keen for that. No rain this week, but unfortunately Buzzer couldn't make it, which is a shame. But me and Tim went in 2 different splits, as his I rating's way higher than mine. But went in, started 21st, and sort of got up to top 10 by not crashing. And there was some major crashes. And we got through turn 1 okay, which is a surprise, but it sort of went downhill from there. But sort of stayed alive, and I turned to the first chicane, then there's the second chicane, brought me unstuck 2 or 3 times, and we bent the front end of the car, and just the turning, I was just braking a little bit too late, turned in, tailed kick out, and I'd end up nose first in the dirt and then sometimes into the wall, which lost spots and damaged the car, but never really felt on speed. I did no practice. It's just, it's trying to stay alive. Like by the time I finished the race, I was actually lapping okay and felt pretty good, but I'll try and talk you through the incident that happened. There'll be a short once I get the footage off YouTube, and we're going down the back straight. So there's the kink at Monza where it kicks left halfway down the back straight, and there'd been a crash, and I could see it in front. There's a car halfway across the road, like across the road. No, I'm nose, tail, one side of the road to the other. There's not a lot of room to get around this car, and it's right on the kink. I can see there's a car on the left a little bit further, about 3 car lengths further down the road on the left, hard against the wall on the grass. So I'm lining up the gap. I can get past old mate on the fence, dip the tyre onto the grass. That's all you can do, and then jump it back across the middle of the road and keep going. Now I've got a car on my rear that is literally on my rear. It's going to take every advantage of this incident to get past me if he can. And I look, I didn't think about it at the time, but it makes perfect sense when you watch the replay. I've come around the kink, jumped right really quickly, and as I've jumped right, with about 1 car length before we're going to hit this car, that's when this guy's seen the car. There's no way this guy's seen this car until 1 car length out, and tries to move in time, but was just going too fast and clipped the car and flipped him, the car that was parked on the side of the road, and I think the 2 cars afterwards who had no time to react to that. So we turned a 2-car incident into about a 5 or 6-car incident on the back straight of Monza, which was great result for me, but not a great result for these people. And look, there's nothing I could have done. It was just one of those really unfortunate situations where maybe a little bit more caution would have been used on their part, and they would have got through okay, like given a bit of space under yellow flag conditions, but they were literally nose to tail as we went through. So when I jumped out, that was the end of it. But not much you can do about that without a proper spotter or anything like that. So that was the race. But like I said, made too many mistakes. Ended up coming across the line in 17th, which lost a little bit of I rating, not a lot. And we got about 40 championship points out of that. So yeah, it wasn't the best, but it's a bit of fun racing with Timmy again. That's the main part of it. So that's been pretty good. But just quickly, just clicking some stuff in the background, and we are looking at the Supercars series. Now this is 1 week ahead, so I'm 37th overall in the series. I was first going into Division 5 into this week, but Jamie Tung beat me substantially in the last one, which we'll talk about next week, and he now holds a narrow lead over me in that, and I'm ahead of Jordan Williams and Glenn Collinson in that series for when you go down to the Division 5 level of that. I'm not really going to look at the other one. It's we'll look at Production Car Challenge. That's like I said, I'm committing to that pretty well this year. So overall, I'm 374th in the Toyota 86 class. When you drill down to Division 5, I am currently sitting 48th, so well off the pace. 125 championship points versus 264 first place, but I haven't had the time to really put into that series much at all, so yeah, it's a bit of fun. I just realised the GT Sprint Series is a B class race, which is pretty cool, sitting 6,000 in that overall, which is not very good, but there's a lot more cars doing this, I guess. But when you drill down to Division 5, 453, we're still one more. I haven't raced this week, so I guess that's where we're a week behind, but I haven't had good results in that either, so... Look, that's where we're at. V8s this week, like I said, Road Atlanta, Navara for Production Car Series, which I will get one of them done before the week's out. But yeah, vets tonight, so looking forward to that, having a crack at that. But yeah, like I said, I had a few questions about the Supra and supercars in general going into this week on stream. Which, if you're not checking out the streams, YouTube or Twitch, Locked On Lads on Twitch, Locked On Lads TV on YouTube, or Facebook, our Locked On Lads, get into them. They're pretty good, especially the ones tonight. The Monday night one is more of a chill chat stream, but Thursday night's more of a, we'll chat for a bit, and then as soon as we race, we're pretty much eyes to the screen, and you can enjoy the intensity of league racing if you want. So, but yeah, the Supra was coming to Supercars in 2026. They are unveiling it at Bathurst in only a couple of weeks' time, which I'll get to another announcement about that in a sec. But I don't like the look of the car, to be honest, and I'm baffled by the way that it's the Supra and not the Camry. You've got NASCAR overseas is the Camry, and it's the closest thing you're going to get to the Supercars series realistically, as far as manufacturers now and body types, I guess. So the Camry makes a lot more sense. There's going to be a lot more chance of people buying the Camry rather than the Supra in Australia. So I understand it's their Type R, not Type R, their GR series. Type R is Nissan, but their GR series that they're trying to push. So whether there's a change globally from the Camry, away from the Camry to the Supra that we haven't heard about in the coming years, and that this is just the start of it, that could be part of it. But I don't like the look of them, and I don't understand why it's a Supra. I understand why they're doing it, except for the fact that it's Supercars, and I just don't feel like Supercars is in the best place. And if I had millions of dollars to spend on something at the moment, it's probably not the series I would be spending it on. I know they've had a pretty good commitment with the GR Toyota Cup series, and that's going really well in Australia, and it's really fostering a lot of good talent going forward. And it's a good mid-range entry-level point for the drivers as they come through the ranks. But yeah, it's Supercars is just not a series I'd be jumping into right now with everything that's going on. Like it really should have sold a couple of years back. They should have found a buyer for it. It seems like they set it up to be sold, and then it didn't sell, and now they're sort of stuck with a product that they bloated out and don't really know what to do with. Is the feeling I get. Like it's just it shouldn't be 12 months of the year. Let's say 10 months of the year. So we start in March. Well, we start in February, so it's 10 months. Almost full 10, 11 months of the year they're racing, but they do like 12, 15 races. So you're only racing once every month, and it's just not enjoyable. To like, you lose all momentum by the time you get to the next race. And I 100% prefer to see a 6-month schedule, and we do it every second week, or we do it, here's the New South Wales leg, so we're going to do bang, 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 3-4 weeks in a row of back-to-back racing. And you can't say it can't be done, because it can be done overseas. And then you go to, here's the Melbourne leg, let's go to all the Melbourne tracks. They already sort of do they go to Western Australia, then they go to Darwin, Tassie, not Tassie, Townsville. They usually do that little circuit over the top of Australia from one side to the other, but they're still many weeks apart in between races. So I'd love to see sort of let's go March, let's do a pre-season race at Formula One, and then the following round is the official start, whichever couple of weeks later, wherever they're at, and get into the season, I'd love to finish it by September, and finish it with Sandown as the big one, and then have Bathurst go back to it, having it as this is the Bathurst 1000. You can have as many cars in it you want. It doesn't have to be locked down to the drivers and the co-drivers. This is just you come here, you put a team. Overseas people come here, put a team in the Bathurst 1000 again. Let's get the best drivers with the best drivers in the best cars, and let them battle it out and see who's the best, and then have that ability to sort of well, do I take another really cool co-driver, or do I take one of the main guys and let's try and win this thing, or do I just try and put all your eggs in one basket in one car, or do you try and split it up to give yourself two cracks at it? Do we see more international cars come over or international teams come over and borrow or lease one of the Super Twos or one of the spare cars from one of the other teams to have them a crack, or we have Supercars putting on a couple wild cards that are cars that they've got from other suppliers and are ready to go, and invite some of the big names from overseas to come over and race at the mountain. I'd love to see it outside of the series again. I don't know why I'm saying that, because I never used to. I always thought it was a great idea bringing it in, but the fact that we do Bathurst 1000 and then we've got Gold Coast and then we sort of, okay, we're still going right up till December is just, in my mind, weird. I don't like it. There's a lot of emphasis on drama at the moment. The fact that we started the series season without the number one or number two drivers last year was bizarre. Whatever happened with Brody, it's just sad that that Supercars is getting to this, and they seem to be not wanting to fix it. They seem to be enjoying the fact that the publicity was, or people were talking about it, even though it was talking about it in a really bad way. They were still talking about it, and they're trying to drum up all different angles to it, where it was like, if I was Supercars, I would have been bending over backwards to try and get Kostecki there, the starters, and he needs a competitor. Like, without Giz there, if Kostecki's at his best in a team that's going well, he's not going to be beat. It's back to this. Without Scotty in the league, Giz just sort of dominated until Kostecki sort of stepped out and stepped up. So it was those couple of years after McLaughlin left and left Giz on his own, it was sort of just boring because there was no competition at all. And they got to the point where at least Kostecki put in for a challenge, and they end up winning the championship, so that's the main thing. But it's just a bizarre feeling, this whole Supercars at the moment. But yeah, I don't, and like I said, I wouldn't invest in it right now because I see that there'll be a future for some kind of top end racing in Australia, but I don't think Supercars, the way they're going, is the answer to that right now, which is a sad state of affairs. If I'm one of the, been following Supercars of some description since I was, for 40 years now, 4 decades I've been, or more than that. It's, to see no light at the end of the tunnel for the series is sad. Just where it is. So, back to the topic at hand, which was Supras. So we've got Walkinshaw Andretti, which some people were shocked by. I'm not hugely shocked by. It seemed like Mustang was a bit of a last minute, that's the only option. We don't want to be with Holden anymore, so that's our only other option, so we'll go there. They were I don't think they liked going to Ford. I know personally there was a lot of supporters that left Walkinshaw Andretti because they were a Ford team. No matter how you spin it, that just loses you fan base, and it doesn't gain you that much fan base. It just loses you fan base when you jump manufacturers like that. So a chance to be the lead team to come out with the Supra, that's the only time you're going to gain supporters out of jumping manufacturer, if you're going to a brand new manufacturer, because then it's, I'm a Toyota fan. I don't really care for the Chevrolet or the Ford, but yeah, I can get behind the Toyota. So who's driving that? Walkinshaw Andretti. Yeah, they're cool. Let's go with them. And that makes sense. But jumping from Chevrolet / Holden fan base to Ford was just going to be fraught with danger from the start. The other two cars, the other team that's running Supra, I guess we'll get that announced at Bathurst. It's going to be interesting. I'm leaning towards Erebus, but people are telling me no, that won't be it. There's a whole heap of other different options out there, but it won't be a Ford team. I can only assume it'll be Chevrolet team jumping out. I think Ford guys are all pretty set in their way, but look, that'll be a shock if that happens. That'll be really, really good shock. Obviously, if you go down the Ford, it won't be Tickford, it won't be DJR. BJR, it won't be because they're more than a 2-car team at the moment. So there's only 2 cars, make 4 total for 2026. So yeah, there's a few of the lesser grids. I would have thought that Toyota would make a splash by getting some of the top teams to come across. And Erebus has jumped ship before for money. So that's where it sits with me. That back when they were probably doing this stuff, this is what I said on stream the other night, which had a few arguments against it, which is fair enough. That's fine. It's just my thoughts. Untrained, unopinionated, uninformed opinions, throwing them out there. And I just thought if Supra was going to come across, hey, let's go to one of the biggest teams out there, or that was at the time when obviously they were talking about this, which I can't believe that they'd have a car ready to launch for Bathurst to show off, and they've only just signed up the teams in the last couple of months. I believe they would have had this all in the books last year, and then it was all on the wraps, and let's announce it. It's 2026 we're aiming for. Let's get the development done. Let's get everything sorted out, but we're going to sign these deals in 2023 and get people lined up for that. And I think that's why maybe Walkinshaw wanted to get out, because they had this Toyota thing lined up, but they had a gap that unfortunately appeared, and that's why they jumped the Ford in between, but I could be very wrong on that. But Erebus at the time was the biggest team. They were the number one team in Supercars, so what a coup it would be if we could get the former Mercedes. Anyway, the currently Chevrolet team across to Toyota, and maybe everything fell apart after that. But I don't know. That's my thoughts, untrained opinions on the matter. But that's where Supercars is for me right now. That's where Toyota Supras are. I guess the underlying thing, which is what I said, is more competition the better, because right now it's feeling very stale. The Camaro is technically a car that's gone anyway, so we're waiting to see what happens with that. Supra, Mustang, more money and more eyes in the league, the better. But yeah, they need to fix the schedule. The schedule's the biggest problem right now, and they need to condense it all down so we can actually get some better racing in and more momentum and build up a chase for the championship, rather than, is it this weekend or is it next weekend? We had V8s too. Get the TV rights sorted out too. Free-to-air not having a reliable option for people to watch it. The average punter to go and watch it without having to subscribe to KO or Foxtel is just bizarre. I think if you went to weekly or fortnightly races, it would be easier to sell as a broadcast deal. But we need to get it on free-to-air, at least the race live, because without doing that, it's just, there's so many channels these days. Why can't you put it on one of the back-end channels live? You've got the feed there. You want us to go pay for Foxtel or KO. I understand that's why you do it. But people can't afford it these days. Just put it on one of your other channels. And then it's only got to be 2-3 hour coverage for the race itself. Or like even the races are an hour. So cool, we're going to do this race, come back in 2 hours, 3 hours. We're going to put the second race on there. Don't have to cover it on free-to-air the 7 or 8 hour days. It'd be great if you did. You've got channels to do it. You do it with every other sporting event. But anyway, there's too many problems with Supercars at the moment. That's why I'm so disheartened by it all, and it's hard to really get excited and watch the races. So anyway, that's my thoughts on that. The big announcement I wanted to make, we sort of did it on stream the other night, Tuesday night, not in the best way, but I'm going to be racing in the Bathurst 1000, the official iRacing Bathurst 1000 on the 5th of October. Kickoff will be, I think it's about 8 a.m., 6-7 hour race. So we'll be there streaming all day. Me and Buzzer are taking the Locked On Lads car around the mountain for 161 laps, or as close to that as we can. We're pretty close on iRating, so we should be in a pretty good split. It's not like we're going to have one high and one low iRating driver, so that's going to be pretty good. I think we work really well as a team. I think we've shown that. I think we're both getting better at, I think Buzzer's definitely the faster of the two, of me and him, but I think we're both learning a lot at the same sort of trajectory. So he is getting better. I'm getting better. He's always been faster. I'm just trying to keep up. But we've had a couple now where we've been, one behind each other in the field. So I think our pace is pretty well matched. So really excited about that. It's not a charity stream. This is a personal one for me. I've always been a massive Bathurst 1000 fan right from day dot. A couple of years back that was my big final farewell with my dad. Was I went down and we watched the Bathurst 1000, the whole 4 days of it together. I was going to go to PAX that year and pulled out because obviously Dad got diagnosed with cancer, terminal, months to live. So went down there and spent that Bathurst with him as our sort of last big thing while he was still coherent. We have that memory, and it's a race I've always been scared of racing in iRacing. It's Bathurst is. I'm definitely a Mount Panorama specialist as far as racing. That's where I got my first win in 4 years. It's where I almost got my first win in 4 years. It's a track we do really well at. And we've done the 12 hour, we've done all these other endurance races there through Aussie Car and stuff like that. But in the Supercar, I've never felt confident or in my ability to get that car around for, let's say, 60 laps and let the teammate do the other 100 laps. But this is the first time where I'm confident in my ability to get that car to the end. And it's going to be nervous because Bathurst means a lot to me. I've been there twice. I was there for the infamous 2014 longest race in history, where Chaz came from last to first, and it was a very special memory for me now. So it's one that I always put time aside for to watch. I was supposed to be going this year, but time management and cash management has meant that I'm not be able to do this. So this is going to be my chance to do that. Is racing the weekend beforehand. So I really do hope you guys can come along and show some support on the streams. And that's all I ask from you. No charity, no donations, just your support. Come along and watch the race on the 5th of October. It would be amazing if we get a whole heap of people for us, dropping in and out all day. But that's what we want. But thank you for your time, everyone. I will try and get in a little bit earlier next week and get the week 3 content out to you a little bit earlier. But for the moment, I can record during the days. It's really hard to fit in with everyone else at the moment. At night, I'm committing to streaming a lot more, and the only reason I really got up today and was able to do this was because I passed out for 3 hours in the middle of the day yesterday because I finished work and I just was exhausted. Just fell on the bed, passed out, and then went to bed early, and then forced myself to take this morning off. Woke up naturally to when my body told me to wake up, and I'm feeling 100% better. So that's why I recorded today rather than having another sleep. So I've not got that balance right. I'm still streaming and content creating too much and working too much because we are short-staffed at the moment. But even then, I've just got to be careful with what nights I stay up because I'm getting up so early the next day. Pardon me, it's really knocking me around. So at the moment, and this is my best time to get in and record, still spend time with my family and do the work I need to do. So thank you everyone who's putting up with the solo podcast. If you have, thank you for everybody who's getting on the YouTube channel and watching the shorts. They've been really positive. The streams are growing again, which is what we always wanted. And yeah, thank you everyone for your time, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.